believe Tupac and Biggie murder was in-house?
I believe Biggie and Tupac was in-house. All had something to do with death row people.
That's a very strong comment to make, man.
Listen, it came from their own mouth. DJ Quick. I think they got...
In 1996, Tupac was pronounced dead, but the facts never lined up. From autopsy errors to whispered sightings in Cuba, every clue feels staged. Could the greatest rapper of all time have pulled off history's boldest escape? September 7th, 1996, the Las Vegas Strip, alive with neon and the roar of limos, suddenly transforms into the epicenter of hip-hop's most haunting mystery. Hours earlier, Mike Tyson had knocked out Bruce Seldon in just 109 seconds, and the city pulsed with celebration.
Big driver stayed at the light. The dude pulled out the parking space. It was no drive-by, brother. That dude was parked there all night. He was parked there all night. And the Muslim dude who walked down to me, that's the dude who killed Big.
Damn.
Wow. So now, we passed the light.
But he walked up the Puff first, right?
He walked up the Puff car first. That's when I stepped out and had the hammer and showed him.
Yeah, listen.
You know what I'm saying? The dude looked me dead in the face. God is good again. Because he looked me in my eye, looked down at my gun, and walked the other way. And I'm sideways. He said, somebody got a gun and pointing at Big now. The car's right there on the corner. Now, him supposed to be security who's driving, he's supposed to stop the car, turn around. We don't need to hear no more. They point the gun at Big. When he heard that, he didn't do none of that. He said, what you say, Tone? Then we go, pow, 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 pow. This motherfucker speed the car. I'm like, Tone, what the fuck is you doing? Turn this motherfucker around, Tone. You know what he said? We don't know who he's shooting at. I'm telling Kenny that.
A Nevada grand jury has indicted Dwayne Keefe D. Davis for the 1996 killing of hip-hop legend Tupac Shakur. Police say Davis is the last living suspect in the decades-long investigation. 27 years ago in Las Vegas, passengers in a Cadillac opened fire on a vehicle occupied by former Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight and Tupac. Several days later, Tupac died in hospital. In a 2018 memoir, Davis revealed that he was in the Cadillac at the time of the drive.
His bold Versace looks and his ability to command entire arenas with sheer presence. Even members of Diddy's own circle, like bodyguard Gene Deal, later admitted that Bad Boy seemed to mirror Pac's blueprint, from the fashion choices to the swagger. But imitation in hip-hop is never harmless. It's a declaration.
New allegations made against disgraced rapper Sean Diddy Combs.
Well, the walls are falling in around Sean Puffy, aka Diddy Combs, as we learn in court documents, he is named 77 times at least as it relates to the murder of Tupac Shakur. Now, it's a very long and circuitous explanation, but what it boils down to is the East Coast West Coast feud and allegations that he offered $1 million for the death of Tupac Shakur, even making a phone call just after the hit, claiming, was that me? Like somebody else ordered a hit?
The fracture widened after the infamous Quad Studios shooting in 1994. Tupac survived, but he believed Bad Boy's camp had prior knowledge of the setup. That belief transformed friendly rivalry into venom. Suddenly, the East versus West feud wasn't a label war, it was a battlefield. Record sales soared, but so did body counts. And here's where the whispers turned into something darker. Kefe D, Southside Compton Crip turned FBI informant, later claimed Diddy himself placed $1 million bounty on Tupac's head. According to Kefe, Puff chillingly remarked, "I don't care if Pac dies, Big dies, or Suge goes to jail." Was it drunken bravado, or a glimpse into a businessman willing to play God with lives? Even public encounters dripped with tension. At the House of Blues, Puff tried to greet Tupac, only to be met with a cold turn of the head.
I talked to Greg Kading when I interviewed him 8 years ago, the detective from LA. He did both of them, accidentally ended up having to do one, ended up finding out more about the other one as well. Where do you stand with what happened with Tupac? Think Puff was a part of it?
I never heard Puff say anything about doing anything, Tupac. Or Suge.
Right.
I've heard people around Puff say things about that, but I never heard Puff himself personally say anything like that. I said before that Eric Von Zip came to the block and he showed me and my friend a check for $1 million. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And he said he got it from Black Ground Records.
A gesture so small, yet so sharp, it carved humiliation into memory. FBI files later confirmed bad boy entourages had deep ties with gang figures like the Southside Crips. Behind the glossy image of champagne and shiny suits, protection deals and street politics intertwined. Multiple insiders whispered the same story. The bounty was real, and Pac was marked. But if Puff really put a price on his rival's head, why did Biggie end up fearing for his own life, too? What if Tupac's final album wasn't a goodbye, but a blueprint? The Don Killuminati. The 7-Day Theory wasn't just music, it was instruction. The very name Machiavelli came from Niccolo Machiavelli, the 16th century strategist who wrote about faking one's death to defeat enemies. While locked in prison, Tupac devoured Machiavelli's writings, emerging with a new persona. Not just an artist, but a man planning an escape. So when shots rang out in Vegas, was it truly an assassination or a carefully staged exit? Paramedics Jim and Shane, who responded that night, later recalled odd inconsistencies in Tupac's condition. Zugay Knight, who sat beside him, swore that Pac spoke after being hit.
Former LAPD detective Greg Kading has made shocking claims, placing Diddy at the heart of the tragic deaths of both Tupac Shakur and Christopher Notorious B.I.G. Wallace. After the 1997 murder of Biggie, who was not only Diddy's closest friend, but also the leading artist of Bad Boy Records, Kading's investigation took a dark and unexpected turn. He alleges that Diddy was responsible for orchestrating Tupac's murder by paying $1 million to members of the Crips gang in 1996. This alleged act of violence, Kading suggests, ignited the deadly East Coast-West Coast rivalry that ultimately cost the lives of both iconic rappers, leaving a lasting scar on the world of hip-hop.
Something official reports seem to downplay. Friends claim he wasn't even listed as critical at first. Then, suddenly, 6 days of silence. No photos from the hospital, no visitors permitted, no credible updates. And just like that, the announcement, Tupac Shakur, dead at 25. Yet the inconsistencies multiplied. Autopsy records listed him 40 pounds heavier than he really was. Tattoos vanished in leaked photos, and his body cremated in under 24 hours. So fast, it erased the chance of second opinions. That's when the Cuba whispers began.
27 years after Tupac Shakur's death rocked the nation, someone's finally been charged. So who is Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, and what was his alleged role in Tupac's murder? Let's take it back to September 7th, 1996. Tupac was a passenger inside a BMW being driven by Marion Suge Knight, the founder of Death Row Records, as part of a fleet of around 10 cars. They were sitting at a red light near the Las Vegas Strip when a white Cadillac drove up next to them and opened fire, according to the AP. Tupac was shot 4 times and died less than a week later. He was 25. Tupac's death wasn't just a headline. It left an indelible mark on a generation. Known for more than his music, Tupac became a symbol of activism and resistance, and his untimely death ignited a firestorm of conspiracy theories and debates that continue to this day. To be clear, Davis has been a part of the story for a long time. In fact, Davis put himself at the scene of the crime in 2018, according to CBS News. That year, Davis told BET he was in the front seat of the Cadillac during the shooting.
Who shot Tupac?
To keep for the cold of the streets. It just came from the backseat, bro.
Fast forward to 2019. Davis did something most people with a...
His aunt, Assata Shakur, already lived in Havana under political asylum, shielded by Fidel Castro's regime. British operative Michael Neese even claimed he flew Tupac to Cuba himself, describing Pac as calm, even helping him co-pilot the plane. Nice promised proof, then died suddenly before ever producing it. Was he silenced or just a fraud? Meanwhile, locals in Havana and even Barbados swore they saw Tupac strolling markets, ducking into cars. Grainy photos fueled the storm. Posthumous albums deepened the mystery. Lyrics that seemed to reference events after 1996, as if Pac was still watching. His own mother once hinted he chose to leave quietly. So was Tupac murdered in Vegas? Or did he mastermind music's greatest disappearing act? When insiders start talking, the story always shifts. Gene Deal, once Diddy's trusted bodyguard, finally broke his silence, claiming Tupac not only knew a setup was coming, but actually staged his own exit. Deal painted Diddy less as a criminal mastermind, more as a pawn in a much larger chessboard. But the whispers didn't end with him. Even Biggie, the crown jewel of Bad Boy Records, reportedly confessed that he didn't feel safe around his own label. Suge Knight, speaking from prison years later, hinted at something more chilling, that Tupac might have survived Vegas and slipped away. And then came Afeni Shakur, Pac's mother, dropping a cryptic line that only deepened suspicion. "My son lives on." Did she mean spiritually or literally? Fans couldn't agree. The Outlaws, Pac's closest rap crew, didn't help matters. Their lyrics fueled conspiracies, hinting at survival, coded messages, and unfinished business. Jaguar Wright, another industry figure known for explosive claims, tied these whispers into broader allegations: cover-ups, payoff money, and a culture of silence enforced by fear. And it wasn't just speculation.
Las Vegas police confirmed they have executed a new search warrant in that case. The rap icon was killed in a drive-by shooting after leaving a Mike Tyson boxing match on the Las Vegas Strip. Officials say the warrant was served Monday in Henderson, Nevada, about 15 miles from Vegas. Shakur was just 25 when he died. He has had 5 #1 albums and is a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
LAPD was accused of shielding celebrities. FBI files on Tupac remain heavily redacted to this day, and Vegas police flatly refused to reopen the case. The pattern reminded journalists of another infamous scandal, Jeffrey Epstein, where power seemed to smother truth. Then came the darker turn: sealed police transcripts allegedly mentioning Diddy by name, allegations tying him not only to Tupac's disappearance, but to a pattern of silenced stars. Heavy D, Kim Porter, Andre Harrell, all reported to be working on tell-all projects before their sudden deaths. Al B sure swears he was poisoned. Jamie Foxx's mysterious hospitalization raised alarms. Even Big Homie CC claimed cyanide poisoning. Kim Porter's pneumonia diagnosis looked eerily familiar against this backdrop. Was Diddy, as some insiders muttered, a form of biological warfare in human skin? Fear spread like wildfire. Few dared to speak, terrified they'd be next. And yet, the louder the whispers, the more the shadow grew. Because if these patterns are true, then the real question becomes, how deep does Diddy's reach go? And who's still protecting him? If Tupac really survived that September night, then everything we know about Diddy's empire rests on an illusion. Picture the irony. Diddy celebrating victories, declaring himself the king of the East versus West War, while the man he feared most might have been alive, watching in silence. Could that silence itself have been Tupac's ultimate revenge? Federal indictments now paint Diddy as a predator, not a mogul, and insiders claim Pac predicted this collapse decades ago. The parallels are chilling. Kim Porter's suspicious death, Cassie's explosive lawsuit, and countless whispers of abuse all echo the same cycle of control and destruction. If Pac foresaw this, was his disappearance part of the plan? Diddy's entire brand, Versace suits, thug love glamour, even his magnetic charisma, mirrored Tupac's blueprint. Without Pac, would Bad Boy have even existed? If the truth ever surfaced that Pac had outsmarted him, Diddy's credibility would shatter overnight. Imagine what that would mean for an industry that's long thrived on image over integrity. And here's where the mystery deepens. Rumors of vaults, unreleased footage, testimony tapes, even handwritten journals allegedly stashed abroad. Some believe Pac secured evidence not only of his survival, but of Diddy's darkest crimes. If those files ever surfaced, they could collapse an entire tier of the hip-hop elite. This shifts Pac's story from martyrdom to resistance. He stops being a tragic symbol of loss and instead becomes a living emblem of survival. But survival has its price. Could Tupac re-emerge one day, shocking the world with the truth? Or has silence become the only shield protecting him from an empire still too powerful to confront? The final twist of this mystery is simple yet haunting. Was it the greatest vanishing act in music history, or the darkest lie we've ever been told? One thing is certain: the Tupac story isn't over. Not by a long shot.